Hey, so you're a pet stylist or pet groomer, and you have a very unique set of things that you do over the course of a day. So different from an office worker, different from a lot of factory workers. You engage in repetitive movements, in the same types of movements over and over and over again. And that means that your body is your best asset. So you need to take care of it. Now, eating healthily is one thing, but what I'm going to do here is, and eating healthily, by the way, is very important. I don't want to minimize that. But I want to show you how to move. I'm going to teach you 4 exercises that I'm going to invite you to do in a row in a circuit. And I'm going to invite you to do that circuit 3 times. I'm going to invite you to take a 90-second rest in between each set. And if you build yourself up so that you do all 4 exercises for 1 minute, this whole workout is only going to take you 15 minutes. If you can do it 2 or 3 times a week, you are going to find that how you feel in daily life and how you move through the world is significantly improved. You're also going to find that you move better and you're stronger in the salon. That's probably the most important thing. So, I have provided 3 videos. One is this one where you're watching me right now, and hopefully you have seen the other 2 videos. And I'm going to ask you, if you haven't, can you stop here before you do this workout? You can watch the video, but please don't do the workout until you've watched the first video, which is breathing for weightlifting. And then the second video, which is a warm-up that I would like you to do 4 or so minutes, 5 minutes before you actually do this routine. Okay? So I want you to know how to breathe properly. And by the way, that breathing for weightlifting is really not just for weightlifting. Be a good practice to breathe that way when you're lifting and moving things in the salon. So master that, and then learn the warm-up, and do the warm-up before you get to this workout. There are 4 exercises in this workout, and basically they're going to mimic how you move around the salon. So the first is something called a Zercher squat, okay? But I'm going to do a Zercher squat with a twist. Now, you can imagine you bend down and pick dogs up, or you might pick things up, but you don't only just pick them up, you probably twist and put them somewhere, okay? I want to show you how to do that. And the best way to do that is, I'm using a sandbag here, but I'm going to invite you to use something like a duffel bag that's full of books, or maybe an elongated box that's heavy, something that you can get your arms under, because I want to show you how to bend down and properly pick up a dog. That's what you're going to be practicing here as you do these things called Zercher squats. Now, Zercher squats, this is your first exercise. If you can imagine in a gym, you have a barbell. This is a dowel rod, but you would use a barbell. You would hold it tight like this, and you would squat. Now you can put as much weight or as little weight on it as you want. Okay? That's a good way to practice squatting if you're a pet groomer, because it kind of mimics the idea of holding a dog, okay, or holding an animal as you pick it up, put it in the tub or on a table. I know that a lot of you probably have adjustable tables. You've got hydraulic or electric tables, and some that go really low. And some of you might even have tubs that are electric and adjustable, but many of you don't. You still have to bend over and pick up some pretty heavy dogs. So how do you do it properly? Well, what I've got here is this 30-pound sandbag. Like I said, you can use a duffel bag or something. Something that is fairly firm. Like if you have a duffel bag, really stuff it full of books so that it doesn't have a lot of give. Something that's fairly firm, and something also that's reasonably heavy that's going to challenge you. So I'm going to go over first the form of a squat, and then I'm going to show you specifically how to pick up a dog and Zercher squat with this kind of hypothetical dog. And you're going to do that exercise for 1 minute before you move on to the next exercise. Now, let me say, if you haven't been training or exercising until this point, don't do it for a full minute. Do it for 20 or 30 seconds until you get used to the movement, okay? Squatting is all about having your feet shoulder width apart. And remember, as I'm describing squatting, don't think of it in terms of squatting, think of it as the proper way to pick up a dog, okay? Feet are shoulder width apart and your toes are pointed out about 10 or 15 degrees. You're always staying on your heels. First thing, and this ties into the video on breathing, you have a tight core. really tighten it. So make it like you imagine someone's trying to punch you in the stomach and you're protecting your stomach against that. What I want you to do is expand your chest by gently pulling your shoulder blades together. Not a lot, just a little bit so that you have a nice straight spine and keep your head straight. And that's how you're going to squat, okay? So I'm going to end up at the bottom of the squat looking at the ground because I'm keeping my spine straight. My head isn't cranked back like this. And of course, that's real life, right? If you're bending down to pick up a dog, you're looking down at the dog, okay? But you don't want to do this because you might slouch. And in slouching, see how my spine is curved like this? I don't want that. I want it nice and straight, okay? No doubt someone somewhere in your life has said to you, don't lift with your back. Well, you have to lift with your back. Your back is going to be involved in it. What they're really saying is minimize the stress that you're putting on your back by maintaining proper posture, a tight core, and using as much of your lower body as possible. And you do that by following the directions I just gave you. Tight core, straight spine, stay on your heels, don't slouch, okay? The squat from the side. A few things. Number one, your center of gravity is kind of between your navel and your spine. It's right in the middle somewhere. And it has to stay over your heels. If it doesn't, you're going to tip forward. That means that when I bend over, or when I squat down, I have to bend over. So the first part of the movement is that my hips go back, but as my hips bend, my knees will bend at the same time, okay? So hips go back, knees bend, and I come down. Ideally for this exercise, if you're strong enough, if your joints are good enough, your hips, your knees, you don't feel any pain, you come down low enough that your thighs are parallel with the ground and you're still on your heels. You're not rocked forward, you're on your heels. Your center of gravity is right over your heels. And then when you come up, your hips and your knees straighten at the same time, okay? You breathe in and out. In, out. In, out. That's a squat. That's the theoretical squat. Now how do you pick a dog up, okay? What I've got here is I've got an ottoman that's fairly low, and I've got my hypothetical duffel bag, hypothetical dog on the ottoman. I'm going to get really close to it, and I'm going to do everything I just said. Oh, one more thing before I do that. When you squat, your knees should follow your toes through the whole range of motion. What I do see sometimes is that people either have flexibility issues or some weakness issues, maybe in a muscle like gluteus medius on the side, and as they come up, they kind of buckle in like this. Watch for that. Maybe squat, watch yourself in the mirror, and watch that you're not wiggling and twisting and turning. If so, it may mean that you're not strong enough to do a full squat. You may be able only to do a partial squat at first. That's okay. Go at whatever level you're at, okay? Partial squats, that's fine. But eventually you want to be able to get down low enough to pick up a dog safely. If you can, if your body will let you do it. Again, if you've got bad knees or bad hips, that might not be possible. And in that case, if you're in a salon, you need the technology like low tables or adjustable baths in order to be able to, or baths that have like a walk-up ramp in order to get around that. But let's assume you are able to, okay, or you can work yourself up to being able to. Maybe you're not strong enough now, with a bit of training you can be. Here's how it goes. I get close enough to it, okay? I follow my form, my squat form, and I put my arms underneath the dog, okay? I'm following all the rules of squatting. My core is still tight, my back is straight, and I stand up. And then now I'm just going to Zercher squat. When you're done, walk back over to the platform that you chose, squat down, lower it down, stand up. Again, you're going to try and do 20, 30 seconds at first if you haven't been training, or 45 seconds to 1 minute if you have been exercising and you're kind of in shape of that exercise. And then you're immediately going to go into the next one. You're going to use the same piece of equipment, your duffel bag, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to simulate picking something up and putting it on a shelf. We do this in the salon often, right? Might sound ridiculous, but it's a good thing to train, okay? So what that is that's a bent row and a shoulder press. So what does a bent row look like? A bent row is simply me working my lat muscles, my biceps, a bunch of muscles in my upper back, my rear deltoid muscles, my rhomboids between my shoulder blades. I'm mentioning those because they're important in this lift, and my trapezius, they take up my whole upper back, okay? So when you're doing the rowing motion, what you want to remember is that the first part of it is a squeezing together of the shoulder blades. That will keep the motion proper, because the proper motion of the arm is the shoulder blade goes first, the shoulder moves, and then the elbow releases, shoulder releases, shoulder blade releases, okay? But you don't need to worry about that. Just think about the shoulder blade, okay? Squeeze them, and then let go. Let go. Bent row. Let go. Let go. That's what a dumbbell bent row or a barbell bent row would look like. It would be me, my core tight just like the squats, my chest expanded, my back straight, my knees slightly bent over, as parallel to the ground as I can get, not slouching, keeping my core tight, and just pulling into my midsection. The cues are squeeze the shoulder blades and touch the ceiling with your elbows. Don't shrug your shoulders, but pull back. Okay? That's the bent row portion. Shoulder press is really simple. From my chest, I'm just extending my arms up over my head, and I'm putting something wherever I'm putting it, on a shelf. If I was doing it in the gym, it would just be with dumbbells, like so, right? But I want to use this for real life. So we're going right from the Zercher squats. You put the thing down, then you bend over, okay? Grab it, and the bent row is up, shoulder press, back down, bent row, up, shoulder press. Notice how I'm having to change my grip. This is real life. Up, down, okay? And you're going to do that exercise also, and I'm protecting my back as I put it down. You're going to do those two movements for 1 minute, okay? You're working the big back muscles, biceps, whole upper back basically, and then your shoulders as you put the item up, okay? I forgot to mention, when you're doing the squats, the Zercher squats, you're working your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes, okay? Really, in those two movements, you've done a full body workout. You've worked most of the important muscles in your upper body, your push muscles, as well as your pull muscles. And the first exercise was your lower body, okay? But you're using it intelligently, right? You're mimicking movements that you do in the salon. Then you're going to do 2 more exercises. And remember, you're going to do that exercise for 20 to 30 seconds if you haven't been training, and 45 seconds to 1 minute if you have been, okay? Immediately after the Zercher squats. I'm going to put them all together and show you what it looks like at the end, okay? You're immediately going to go into something from here called a reverse hyperextension. This is a supporting exercise. No, this isn't a practical movement in the sense that you ever use this when you're walking around in the world or in the salon, but it strengthens something called your posterior chain, your hamstrings, and your glutes especially on this one, and your spinal erectors as well. Strengthen those, your squat gets stronger. Your squat gets stronger, it's easier to pick up dogs, okay? So this is a supporting exercise. Here's what it looks like. Now, if you happen to have a stability ball like this, that's a great tool to use. But I'm assuming that you're working out at home and you don't have any equipment, okay? If you happen to have a sandbag lying around, or, you know, like a barbell with weights on it, great. But if not, there you go. For reverse hyperextension, you take an ottoman, lay over it, you move forward until your waist is kind of right in the middle of it, okay? Your hands are wider than shoulder width apart, you're stabilizing yourself. And all I'm going to do from here with my legs straight, my toes touching the ground, is I'm going to squeeze my butt, keeping my legs straight, and I'm going to come up and then down. Up and hold, and then down to my toes. Tap the ground. Up, down. I'm going to do this exercise for 20 to 30 seconds if I haven't been training, 45 seconds to 1 minute if I have been, okay? Again, great supporting exercise. It's the one exercise it's the best exercise that nobody ever does. Powerlifters know that it's an important exercise in getting them stronger. Nobody's stronger than a powerlifter. And they do it all the time. They use machines for it, right? So I'm really going to suggest that you do that and one more exercise. This is an exercise that people don't like, but it's so important for a strong squat. It's a plank. Now, planking, something very important to remember. I'm going to get my dowel rod out again. Sorry, I keep hitting the ceiling. I need a shorter dowel rod. When I'm planking, I want to keep my body straight. I'm putting this dowel rod on to show you that it's touching my tailbone, my shoulder blades, and my head. This is the right position when I'm on the ground. And here, I'm not able to get my hand through between my mid-lower back, or my middle back, mid-lower back, and the dowel rod, okay? This is the part you want to pay attention to. You do not want to sag. The minute you start sagging, stop, okay? Because what you're doing is you're losing core control, and your hip flexors are really taking over. Your hip flexors are the muscles that run from your pelvis across the hip joint to your legs and from your spine to your legs, and they do this, okay? They're very strong muscles, and they want to take over from the abs. You want to, when you're doing a plank, imagine I'm on the ground, my toes and my forearms are on the ground. You want to crunch so that your back isn't sagging, it's almost straight, and you want to keep that. So if you can do this exercise in front of or beside a mirror, and keep your eye on it. Better yet, if you have a partner who can literally put a broom pole on your back and make sure that your head, your shoulder blades, your tailbone stay in touch and that the angle doesn't increase too much here, you're golden, okay? The idea would be to hold the plank for as long as you can before your back starts sagging and you can start putting your hand in between the dowel rod and your lower back. And then every time you do it, you try and go for just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. If you find that you're able to plank like that forever, send me a message and I'll give you a different exercise, but most people will find that they aren't. So, plank is very simple. I'm down on the ground. Normally I'd have a mat or something here, but in this case, we need it. My feet are close together, and I'm crunching, okay? So my body's straight, my head's straight. It's not back like this, and it's not sagging like that, and I'm not sagging down like this, okay? I'm crunching. And by crunching, what I mean is I'm literally trying to pull my elbows down this way to kind of round my back. I want to think about rounding my back. I never will when I'm in a plank position. At best, I'll be flat for a while. But I want to do that without sticking my butt up. The mistake a lot of people make when I give them that cue is they go, ugh, like this. No, I don't want that. I want your body straight and flat. Crunch. Okay? Crunch. There we go. There's the position right here. Okay? So, here's what the whole thing's going to look like put together. I'm literally going to time it. Me, I'm going to show you what it looks like to do each exercise for 45 seconds. Okay? I'm going to get my smartphone. I'm going to set the timer for 45 seconds. Put something close by that I can put it on, and then we're going to do each exercise, okay? The goal is to do the exercise as fast as you can, for as long as you can, up to a minute, while maintaining proper form. Don't push yourself too hard at first. If you haven't been training again, please, please, please be smart about this, okay? 20 to 30 seconds only, just give it a try and don't go too heavy. Here we go. So I've actually set it for 50 seconds, which will give me a chance to set each exercise up. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to come down, grab it, and searcher squat. A little faster because I can maintain my form going a little quicker. Breathe in, breathe out. Follow my breathing. Okay, there's the warning. I'm going to, again, protect my back, lower it down. Stop that. I'm going to start it again, and right away, I'm going to go into the next exercise, okay? Pay attention to my breathing. Breathe out. Breathe out. Okay, it's the timer again. So, stop it. Move this off to the side. Turn this around. Start it again. Now, reverse hyperextensions. Really good squeeze on the butt. At the top, really think about squeezing the butt cheeks together. Sorry, it's a little crude, but everybody knows what that feels like. Keep the legs straight. Brief pause at the top. Timer goes again. One last one. This is going to be the planks. Okay? And here we go. I just kicked my dowel rod over, but oops. Okay. We want to try and maintain that crunch. Toes are close together on this one. If I'm really wide apart, my base of support gets too big. Comes too easy. Focus on crunching. All right. There we go. So there it is. Again, if you're new at this, if you haven't been training for a while, 20 to 30 seconds each exercise. If you have hip pain or joint pain or knee pain, only do partial squats, okay? Don't hurt yourself. Always best to check with your doctor first to make sure everything's okay before you do a routine like this. But this is a really good one, basic, but it includes pretty much all of the basic movements that you're going to use over the course of a day, except for twisting, okay? Now, we could include twisting exercises as well. You could, for example, add as a fifth exercise or even a third exercise something called a Russian twist, right? Where you're just rotating, right? You can throw that in there. I just wanted to keep it at 15 minutes, but a rotational exercise like this won't hurt. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm leaning back, keeping my spine straight, turning, actually so my trunk is separating from my upper body, okay? So I'm not just moving my hands, but I'm moving my body, and I'm stopping for a second, okay? This is going to train rotational strength. So if you do just the 4 exercises, that's enough. You know, up to a minute each, you don't need to do a minute more. And when you're at a minute, the whole workout, like I said, is going to take you 15 minutes. And you do it 3 times with a 90-second rest in between. Do that 2 to 3 times a week. You are going to find that you feel way better, that your body's moving better, that you have more endurance, you have more energy, and that you're stronger in your job. It's a win-win proposition, okay? And there it is. for free. It's all yours.